Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
Cruising your way next, Off 90. A photographer reflects his community. Albert Lee's got talent. A visit with a leatherworker. And a band that sings Tuvan music. What's Tuvan music, you ask? Stay tuned to find out. It's all coming up on your next stop, Off 90. Hi, I'm Barbara Keith. Thanks for joining me on this trip, Off 90. Bill Taufic made a life of traveling and photographing important people and places from all over the world. Bill returned to his hometown of Austin and began a project he calls Our Austin, Our America. The purpose of the project is to capture the diversity of his hometown in photographs. We talked to Bill about his venture.
When I was 22 and graduated college, I left and went to New York City. Coming back here to find people from over 50 places on the planet living here was shocking. My name is William Taufic. When I was a freshman in high school, the first week of school, I walked into my English teacher's room and asked her if I could get involved in the newspaper. And she said, well, we don't need any writers, but we need a photographer. I went to St. Olaf. I graduated, and a week after that, I was living at the YMCA on 34th Street in New York City. I was very lucky and worked as a corporate photographer for 38 years. I worked for 6 years as an assistant. I got a really big job like the first month that I was on my own. The world was my studio. A year ago, I was sitting at my desk and I was thinking, what can I do with the rest of my life to accomplish something and maybe contribute something to society? I had the wonderful experience of coming here and having lunch with some friends who are teachers. And during the course of the conversation, they said, yeah, now we have to be able to translate over 50 languages just to talk to the parents of our students. And I was like, what? There's people from over 50 places on the planet living in my little hometown now? And it's true, there are. And it's a very welcoming situation that's different from many, if not most, places in our country. And I want to tell that story. I decided that this is my mission. I hope to produce a book of portraits, some of which you see behind me, and tell the story of people who've traveled through the most horrendous circumstances to arrive in Austin. Bonnie Reitz with her beautiful students. Eric, young Filipino man who's just brilliant and going to make a difference in the world. V, a young Mexican family that I was introduced to. And here's another family in front of their ice cream truck at the fair. He's actually was born in India, speaks 4 Indian languages.
He is my husband, and that is me, and we are from Burma, originally from Burma, and from refugee camp in Thailand, refugee camp. I really love this photo because I never have a picture big like this, and it's really make me proud of that.
I am Raquel Imbert. I live here in Austin. I've been living here in Austin for the last 13 years. I am a success coach for Austin Public Schools.
My name is Jasmine Chavez. I'm from Bolivia and also my family. In here in this photo I have my mom, my dad, my brother, and my baby. I'm in the Army Reserve. I enlisted when I was 17, right after high school.
This is the cover, the proposed cover of the book. Around the title are the signatures of the people who've told their story in the book. The reality here in Austin is actually that it's different here than it is in many, if not most, other places. And in this age of division and animosity, we need something to give us some hope, and Austin has that hope.
Tiger's Roar serves as a talent showcase for high school students and a fundraiser for fine arts programs and resources in Albert Lea. The theme was Going Viral and included plenty of singing, skits, and instrumental performances by the brilliant pupil performers. Who knows? Maybe this video will go viral as well.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Chris here, back with another vlog. So today, I've got a special treat for you guys. It's Tiger's Roar.
Woo! Best part of your weekend?
Oh, for sure.
I'm Diane Haney, and I've been the high school choir director here for 26 years. For probably about 15 of them, I was the director for Tiger's Roar. I'm not sure when it was started exactly, but it's well over 75 years old. And Tiger's Roar was the thing. And so they would write a script and they would have costumes and acts. And it wasn't always this kind of format of the talent show. It was kind of like the big musical review of the year. It's an old tradition. So I have a steering committee who helps me pick the acts, so it's not just Mrs. Haney's idea. And then they become the stage crew. It's really up to the kids. I mean, they audition, they do the acts, they do the set crew, they do the sound, and it's really their baby.
I want it that way. Ooh, feeling it today, yeah.
My name is Sam Scarstead. I'm in 11th grade here at Overlea High School.
American Idol, baby. Taking it all the way. So what were you guys saying?
I've always wanted to do an MC part, but I never really got up the courage to try out. So then a bunch of my friends this year, we decided we'd try out as a group. My co-MCs are Chris Abrego, Romaria Rosas, and then Tamara Lopez. Before each act, we are in charge of acting out a skit that revolves around the theme to introduce the act.
Turn 16, got my scooter license.
This year is Tiger's Roar going viral, so a little focus on social media, which the kids seem to know plenty about.
No, can't do this.
It's just a no judgment zone. People are just able to come out here and showcase their talents, and I think the audience is really supportive of that, and the students as well. So it's all in all, it's a good experience to do.
And the coolest thing about Tiger's Roar, I think, is that it really lets the kids grow as performers and lets them shine in their own way.
I went to it last year and I thought it was pretty cool, but I thought it could use more instrument acts instead of just singing and skits, because diversity is great. I'm John Lucas and I am a sophomore at Albert Lea High School. The curtain goes up and the spotlights hit me. It's different lighting than I'm used to performing in. It's also interesting to feel the heat of the spotlights hit me.
Well, it's my first time in Tiger's Roar, so yeah, I'm a little nervous. You too.
Really well. Messed up just a little bit, but we totally got it under control. We're good to go.
The kids get really excited about it, and when they're done, they feel great.
I feel like we just really click together.
Yeah, just kind of the rush of adrenaline when you're on stage. It's just kind of...
The audience is our biggest motivation. They're really there to just cheer us on and support us, and like you said, they don't know if you mess up.
It's always a fun time, lots of laughs.
Ready?
So it takes a lot of guts. to do it, and I know there'll be lots of nerves tomorrow night, but they're going to do it. It's going to be fine. They're going to live through it.
One more thing, right? Oh yeah, going viral. Ready? All right, selfie.
Doubletree Leatherworks of Spring Valley started out as a horse-drawn carriage company. Owners John and Heather Hill moved into leatherworking after their son was born. Now they specialize in one-of-a-kind custom leather creations. We talked with John and Heather about the business of leatherworking.
We've been doing this for, I'm going to say, the better part of 10 years. Heather had gone to an auction over in Highland. It was an estate auction. And one of the boxes that was at this auction was a box of leather carving tools. And we couldn't find quality draft horse size tack for our horses. So pretty soon it's like, get out the tools, and I got this idea. I wanted to make a rear cinch. You know, my particular horse, he needs one that's about 8 inches longer than anything you can buy at the store. So I got some leather and commenced to sitting down at the kitchen table and made me a rear cinch.
My name is Heather Hill, and I'm an artistic leather craftsman.
My name is John Hill. I am one of the craftsmen here at Doubletree Custom Leather in Cherry Grove.
So in leatherwork, there's a million different tools, and there's probably that many makers of tools.
This one here is called the serpentine tool, and it makes kind of a weaving line, similar to what's on my cuff here. And this is a beveling tool. This is a backgrounding tool. It kind of applies, when you strike this tool, it kind of stipples the background. Whatever your carved design is, it helps it stand out. This knife here is called a swivel knife, and that is used for outlining your design on the leather. And these two particular knives, this is called a pull knife, and it works, you know, you just pull it, kind of like a linoleum cutting knife. And this knife here is called a round knife or a head knife. And it is used for a multitude of different things. It's pretty much a leather worker's knife. You know, you can use it for making straight cuts, long cuts, very detailed, intricate cuts. You can use it for what they call skiving, which would be tapering the leather, thinning it a little bit. There's a multitude of other tools. You know, there's tools for sewing, you know, other than the sewing machine. You know, a lot of the stuff, like I was saying earlier, is hand sewn. Some of the parts on the saddles, up on the stitching around the horn, or the stitching over the back of the cantle on the back of the seat, that's all done by hand. I get satisfaction out of that, knowing that I laid it out right, put everything in the right spot. It's all trimmed and fit together properly. And when I'm all done and you pick it up and you look at it, everything just looks perfect.
John's more of a perfectionist that goes with the flow, if you can even put that in the same sentence. I'm more of the firecracker, and I want things to go right the first time. Once you blow that artistic train of thought, it's hard to get back online. If you have the most perfect, beautiful carving, and then you have to go and replicate that, if you're not in the right frame of mind, it just doesn't happen.
It's tough.
Every project that we work on is special because we really tailor it to whomever it is for. We really like taking orders face to face. If we can get to know them, have a conversation, it's sure a lot nicer than through phone or email. We really focus on the customer, getting to know what they like, getting to know their personality, and then really centering a project around them. One real special project that kind of comes to mind immediately is I have a young cousin who lost her father when she was very young. I asked them if they had something that had the father's signature on it, and then I took his signature and I kind of copied the same way that he was writing, and I took that and I had a special press plate made that said, "I will always be by your side, love, Dad." So it was in his handwriting, and then I took that and I pressed that into the leather, into a holster that she will have. It'll last her 100 years, so that was a real special one. I get the most satisfaction when I'm working with leather and I get it all cut out, and then I have this design and I come up with a design that really fits somebody, and then when I get that finally all put together and that person accepts it and they look at it and they go, wow. I really enjoy the finished product and making people happy.
Tuvan music, as one might expect, comes from a place called Tuva. Tuva is in the Russian Federation and lies north of Mongolia. Tuvan music employs a remarkable technique for singing multiple pitches at the same time called throat singing. Alash is a master of Tuvan music, and we caught a performance at the Paramount Theatre in Austin. We're near the end of this tour off 90. Thanks for riding along. See you next time.
U.S. Ambassador to the United Kingdom, Secretary of State, Judge of the Permanent Court of International Justice. Rochester native Frank Billings Kellogg achieved remarkable global success, which was often attributed to his wife, Clara Cook. While U.S. Ambassador to the United Kingdom, Kellogg wrote to President Calvin Coolidge that the only reason he'd been given the job was due to his wife's stellar reputation as a hostess. Clara was quite popular at London's Court of St. James. When Frank became U.S. Secretary of State in 1925, Queen Mary presented Clara a goodbye gift, a favorite amethyst brooch. The 1928 Kellogg-Briand Pact, which renounced war as an instrument of national policy, was signed by more than 60 nations, and he was awarded the 1929 Nobel Peace Prize. In 1930, Kellogg became a judge of the Permanent Court of International Justice. He retired in 1935 due to poor health and moved to St. Paul, where he died on December 21, 1937.
Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.